My family said I owed them everything, so they robbed me, trashed my car, smeared my name at work, and bragged about it until I had them arrested. When I was 7 years old, I told my mom that when I turned 18, I wanted to live in a huge mansion made of gold. Honey, people who move out are bad people, and if you ever do that, mommy and daddy will be very upset. I nodded like it was the most reasonable thing in the world, and promised to live with her forever, and I had every intention of keeping that promise, until I turned 20, and found myself sharing a room with my 2 baby nephews. I was waking up almost every night at 3 a.m. to crying, screaming, and even vomiting. So, for the first time since I was 7, I brought up the idea of moving out. I told her I could live with a friend, and I would pay for everything. She gasped loudly. It was so dramatic that you could have sworn she just found out she had 1 day left to live. How dare you! I'm not even going to entertain this. Don't even think about asking your father. You see, to my parents, moving out is a sign of betrayal. They basically think it means you're ungrateful and a horrible child. So I figured that if I proved my loyalty and then asked them again, everything would be fine. So I started working an extra 20 hours a week and giving them half of every paycheck. Still not convinced. I did all the grocery shopping, cooking, and cleaning for them. Still not convinced. I even took time off of college and work to help take care of all 7 kids living in the house. And guess what? They still weren't convinced of my gratitude and loyalty. They never even gave me a thank you for any of it. And by the time I was 23 and graduating college, I was the one who had had enough. Because not only did they not show up, but as soon as I got home, the first thing they did was make fun of me. You see, I forgot to mention their unconventional morals stretched beyond just not moving out. It's any achievement. Even convincing them to let me finish high school was a battle. So when they started calling me an office rat or Mr. Fancy Degree, I spent the night asking my buddies if they were looking for a roommate. Thankfully, one of them was, and I told my mom. She didn't say anything, just crossed her arms and walked away. Well, I moved out that same day, and I never heard from my family again, and I didn't reach out either. I wanted to make sure I had a stable life first, and it wasn't until a few months ago when I turned 31 that I finally considered reaching out, because in that time, I had gotten an extremely beautiful and amazing fiancé, a nice car, and a very solid career, which meant I had enough money to not only pay off my parents' mortgage, but also to help contribute to a new house for them and the kids. As I wrote out the check for $200K, I felt a sense of pride, because I was finally able to give back to my family, show them how much I love them, and that's when I did something extremely crazy and reckless. I invited my entire family over for dinner. It was via email, and was the first time we had spoken in 8 years. My mom replied almost instantly, and said they'd all be attending. My heart jumped. I really thought this was going to be the moment our relationship is rebuilt. In the days leading up to it, I did everything I could to make sure it was perfect. I planned on cooking 3 homemade recipes, and even set up a little play area for the little ones. I didn't want to get my hopes too high, but as I set up, I couldn't stop fantasizing about what they might say. We loved you all along. We missed you so much, were all things I longed to hear. So when the moment finally came, and they were at my doorstep, me and my fiancée, Ella, happily welcomed them inside. My 2 nephews came, along with my 4 nieces, 3 aunts, uncle, and my parents. Aside from some small talk, the house was pretty much silent for a while. I felt so awkward that I broke the silence by taking out the fat check and handing it to them. This is for your mortgage, and some extra to help you in the future. Oh wow, my mom was the first to speak. So you think you can just abandon your family and come back with some money like nothing ever happened? I felt that familiar pain again, like a wound being poked. I'm sorry, Mom. Sorry? This time it was my dad who interrupted. Oh yeah, I'm the most ungrateful and worthless piece of crap, but hey, at least I'm sorry. He said it in a sarcastic tone to mock me. I swear I was about to start crying, but then my mom chimed back in to change the topic. She pointed to Ella before saying, I hope you're not actually with this sorry excuse for a woman. I stared at the check in my mother's hand. The smell of the freshly cooked dinners hit my nostrils. Suddenly, all my sadness and guilt was replaced with a deep, unearthing rage. I grabbed Ella's hand, shoved the adults out of the way and walked out. We got in the car and drove around the corner. Ella wasn't upset either. In fact, she was just as angry as me. We didn't say much, but she knew I was done with them. It had been building for years. Today was just the breaking point, my reality check. I knew I couldn't ignore it, that I had to do something. I couldn't finish the story in this short video, but it gets intense. They're still in our apartment, Ella finally said, checking her phone. Your mom's texting me now. She showed me the screen. My mom had somehow got Ella's number and was sending a barrage of messages, each one nastier than the last. I called Michael, explained the situation, and he offered to let us crash at his place for the night. We stopped at a convenience store for toothbrushes and drove to his apartment across town. The whole time, my phone was blowing up with texts and calls from various family members. When we got to Michael's, I finally looked at the messages. My mom was demanding I come back immediately. My dad was threatening to take what they were owed from our apartment if I didn't return. My aunt was calling me selfish and ungrateful. They were all acting like I was the villain in this story. I turned off my phone and tried to sleep on Michael's couch, with Ella curled up beside me. Around 3 a.m., Michael's neighbor knocked on the door. He looked concerned. "Hey man, aren't you staying in building 1400? I just drove past and there were people carrying stuff out to a truck." I sat bolt upright. They were robbing us. My own family was robbing our apartment. Michael offered to drive us back, but I was worried about confrontation turning violent. Instead, I called the non-emergency police line. I explained the situation calmly. Unauthorized people were removing items from my residence. I didn't mention they were family. We arrived back at our apartment complex just as a patrol car pulled up. I could see my parents' old minivan and my uncle's pickup truck parked out front, both loaded with what looked like our electronics and Ella's art collection. My dad was carrying our TV down the stairs when he spotted me. For a split second, I saw something I'd never seen on his face before. Shame. Then it was gone, replaced by the familiar scowl. "There he is, officer," my mom shouted from behind him. "Our son who stole our money and is now trying to get us arrested." The police officer looked between us, clearly trying to piece together a messy family situation. "Sir, is this your residence?" he asked me. "Yes, it is. I have ID with this address, and the lease is in my name." I pulled out my wallet. While the officer was checking my ID, my mom stormed up to me. "You ungrateful child. After everything we've done for you, we raised you, fed you, clothed you, and this is how you repay us." Ella stepped forward. "Ma'am, you're currently stealing from our home. I don't think you're in a position to talk about gratitude." My mom turned her rage on Ella. You're the reason he abandoned his family. You've poisoned him against us." I stood between them. "Ella and I have been together 4 years. I left home 8 years ago because you made it impossible to stay. This has nothing to do with her." The officer had heard enough. "All right, I need everyone to calm down. Sir, since this is your residence, do you want to press charges for theft?" I looked at my family, the people who were supposed to love me unconditionally, but instead had tried to take everything from me. Again, part of me wanted to say yes, to watch them face consequences for once in their lives, but another part knew that would just feed into their narrative of me being the villain. I looked at the officer, then back at my family. My dad still had our TV halfway down the stairs. My mom was glaring at me with pure hatred. My aunts and uncle were frantically trying to shove more of our stuff into their vehicles, and my nephews and nieces were watching it all with wide eyes, their innocent faces reflecting confusion and fear. These kids were learning that this behavior was normal, that family meant taking what you wanted regardless of boundaries or respect. The thought broke my heart. "No," I finally said to the officer, my voice steadier than I expected. "I don't want to press charges, but I do want my property returned and for them to leave." The officer nodded, his expression professional but sympathetic. "You heard him. Put everything back where you found it and then vacate the premises." Immediately, my family erupted in protests. My dad nearly dropped the TV in his anger, fumbling with the bulky screen as his face turned an alarming shade of red. "This isn't over," my mom screamed as they reluctantly started carrying things back upstairs, her voice echoing through the stairwell. "That money is ours. You owe us. After everything we've done for you." It took almost an hour for them to return everything to our apartment, each item placed back with aggressive resentment. The officer stayed the whole time, bless him, standing vigilantly by the door with his arms crossed. When they finally left, he suggested we change our locks immediately. He also recommended we document all our belongings in case they tried something like this again, his years of experience clearly telling him this wasn't the end of the conflict. As soon as the last family member drove away, tires screeching in protest, I collapsed onto our couch, emotionally drained. Ella sat beside me, taking my hand in hers, her touch grounding me in reality. "I'm sorry," I whispered, my voice barely audible. "I'm sorry I put you through this. You didn't sign up for this level of crazy." Ella apretó mi mano, sus ojos reflejando fuerza y compasión. "This isn't your fault. None of this is. But we need to protect ourselves now." I nodded, still trying to process everything that had happened in the past few hours. "They took the check," I realized suddenly, sitting upright. "My mom never gave it back. I saw her stuff it in her purse." "Can you cancel it?" Ella asked, already reaching for her phone. I called my bank immediately, explaining the situation as calmly as I could. Thankfully, they put a stop payment on the check right away. The customer service rep even waived the $30 fee after hearing what happened, her voice softening with sympathy. Small mercies, I guess. We spent the rest of the night taking photos of our belongings and changing all our passwords on every account we could think of. I even called our property manager to get permission to change the locks first thing in the morning, explaining briefly about the family emergency. Ella was amazing through it all, staying calm and focused when I felt like I was falling apart, methodically documenting everything we owned while I made calls. The next morning, we called a locksmith who came and installed new deadbolts, reinforcing the door frame as well for extra security. I was just signing the paperwork, the smell of fresh metal shavings still in the air, when my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered hesitantly, bracing myself for more family drama. It was my niece, Karma. She was 16 now, the oldest of the kids, with a maturity beyond her years from growing up in that household. "Uncle, I'm sorry about yesterday," she whispered. She sounded like she was trying not to be overheard, her voice barely audible. "Grandma and Grandpa told us all that you were going to give them money for a new house, but then you changed your mind and tried to have them arrested." My heart sank, a fresh wave of hurt washing over me. "That's not what happened, Karma." "I know," she said softly, conviction in her young voice. "I saw everything. They've been talking about this dinner for weeks. Grandma kept saying she was going to get what she deserved from you. They made us all get dressed up and everything." The realization hit me like a truck, the pieces falling into place. They had planned this all along. the quick response to my email invitation, the immediate anger when I gave them the check. They had come with the intention of making me feel guilty enough to hand over money, then twist the narrative to make me the bad guy no matter what happened. The elaborate manipulation made me feel sick. Karma, where are you now? Are you safe? I asked, suddenly concerned about her calling me like this, imagining the consequences if she was caught. I'm at school. I borrowed my friend's phone. She paused, a rustling sound suggesting she was moving to somewhere more private. Uncle, they're saying they're going to get that money one way or another. I heard Grandpa talking about your work. Do you work at Palmer Tech? My blood ran cold, a chill running down my spine. Yes, why? They were looking up the address online. Grandpa said something about paying you a visit there. He was on Google Maps looking at pictures of the building. I thanked Karma for the warning and told her to be careful, to delete the call record from her friend's phone. After we hung up, I immediately called my boss. I explained that I was having a family issue, and that if any of my relatives showed up at the office, security should not let them in under any circumstances. My boss was understanding, even offering to let me work from home for a few days, his concern evident. Ella and I decided it would be best to lay low for a while. We ordered groceries for delivery and worked from home, creating a temporary fortress. I was constantly checking the parking lot from our window, half expecting to see my parents' minivan appear at any moment, jumping at every car door that slammed. 3 days passed without incident. I was starting to think maybe Karma had misunderstood, or maybe my parents had just been making empty threats in the heat of the moment. Then Thursday morning, I got a call from HR. Mr. Thomas, we've received some concerning communications about you, said Jessica, the HR director, her normally cheerful voice strained. Would you be able to come in for a meeting today? My stomach dropped, acid rising in my throat. What kind of communications? Jessica hesitated, choosing her words carefully. I'd rather discuss this in person. How's 2 p.m.? I agreed to the meeting, then immediately called my boss, Joseph. He picked up on the first ring. I was just about to call you, he said, sounding stressed. Your parents have been emailing everyone in the company. They're claiming you stole money from them, and that you're unstable. They sent screenshots of texts supposedly from you threatening them. It's getting pretty ugly. What? Those are fake. I never sent any threats, I insisted, panic rising in my throat, my hands beginning to shake. I know, Joseph said quickly. Look, HR has to follow protocol here, but I've got your back. Just come in, explain the situation calmly, and bring any evidence you have that these people are, well, crazy? I suggested, a hysterical laugh threatening to escape. Your words, not mine, Joseph replied, but I could hear the sympathy in his voice. I spent the next hour gathering evidence, the police report from when my family tried to rob us, screenshots of the threatening texts they had sent me, and even pulled up my bank statement showing the stopped check for $200,000 that I had tried to give them. I organized everything meticulously, determined to protect my professional reputation. Ella drove me to the office since I was too nervous to drive myself, my legs feeling like jelly. Want me to come in with you? She asked as we pulled into the parking lot, squeezing my knee reassuringly. No, I need to handle this myself, I said, trying to sound more confident than I felt, straightening my tie nervously. But thank you. I walked into the HR meeting room at exactly 2 p.m., clutching my folder of evidence. Jessica was there, along with Joseph and someone from legal, a woman I recognized but couldn't name. They had a folder of printouts in front of them, looking solemn. Thank you for coming in, Jessica began formally. We've received multiple emails from people claiming to be your parents. They've made some serious allegations against you, including theft and threatening behavior. As I'm sure you understand, we have to address these claims. I took a deep breath, centering myself. I understand, and I appreciate you giving me the chance to address this. My parents and I have a complicated relationship. I recently offered them financial help, which they took, but then became angry when I wouldn't give them more. Now they're retaliating. Let me show you what actually happened. I went through the entire story, showing them my evidence as I went. They listened attentively, occasionally asking clarifying questions, their expressions shifting from concern to understanding. When I finished, there was a long silence, the tension in the room palpable. Well, Jessica finally said, exchanging glances with the others, this is certainly a unique situation, but based on your performance history and the evidence you've provided, we have no reason to doubt your account. Relief washed over me, my shoulders dropping several inches. Thank you. That said, she continued, straightening a paperclip on the table, we need to address the ongoing disruption. These emails are flooding our inboxes and affecting business operations. The legal representative spoke up, her voice crisp and professional. We can send a cease and desist letter to your parents, making it clear that continuing to contact the company will result in legal action. This would come from the company, not from you personally. I nodded gratefully. I think that would be best. Joseph clapped me on the shoulder as we left the meeting, the gesture supportive and reassuring. Don't worry about this affecting your position here. We all have family drama sometimes, though yours is, he trailed off, searching for a diplomatic word. A complete nightmare? I suggested, managing a weak smile. He laughed. Something like that. I thought that would be the end of it. The company sent the cease and desist letter, and the emails stopped abruptly. Ella and I started to relax a little, the constant tension beginning to ease. We even went out for dinner one night, our first time leaving the apartment together in over a week, enjoying a quiet meal at our favorite Italian place. That was when things got even worse. When we got home from dinner, our apartment door was ajar, a sliver of darkness visible through the gap. My heart sank as I pushed it open, instinctively moving Ella behind me. The place had been ransacked, drawers pulled out, furniture overturned, everything of value gone, laptops, jewelry, Ella's art collection that she'd spent years curating, even our expensive coffee maker. "Oh my God," Ella whispered, stepping gingerly over the mess on the floor, broken glass crunching under her shoes. I immediately called the police.